Hello and welcome to the Transcendence and Quantum Life podcast. This is your host, Jessica Alstrom, and I wanted to welcome all the new members that have joined our Quantum Life community on Facebook, which is our online forum that houses all of our videos and our podcasts and our live sessions and our live classes and all of our graduated teachers. It's been really fun to open that up to the world and get the message out there in person versus just these audio podcasts that I've been doing over the last couple of years. And it's been a fun time. So welcome all the new members, and for the members that have been with me for about a year or 2 years now, thank you for investing in yourselves, because that's really what everything is about right now. It's about a personal investment in yourself to make promises and fulfill that dream of happiness that we all have inside. Perfect timing right now with the energy in Cancer. That we are getting into the feels. It's like we're really good at resisting our feelings, and this energy that's on the planet right now is kind of helping us, pushing us, forcing us into deep-rooted feelings that we haven't felt in a very long time, and they are beginning to surface. And so I wanted to create this podcast for you guys to help navigate through the deeper subconscious and unconscious places of yourself. Me being a shadow worker, it's all about those places and things that we hide from ourselves that are holding us back. When anybody asks me or says, hey, I'm feeling blocked or stuck, it isn't necessarily a block or stuck, because you cannot block or stuck energy, but you can hide it. You can suppress it. You can disassociate from it. You can deny it, and you can push it into a different direction that will give you a misemotion or a cloaked emotion, or a avoided emotion, which, it's almost like sometimes we can turn depression into numbness. We can turn anger into numbness. We can turn resentment into, over nurturing someone. So there's a lot of ways that we can twist our emotions into places that feel actually more comfortable for the ego. The ego is all about that part of you that has been disassociated with since the age of, 0 to 7, where you looked at your environment and decided that you weren't really allowed to be who you were. And that's when that's when you basically separated yourself from, the other aspects of yourself. And if you follow my work, you know that I try to make this spiritual journey as simple as possible to understand, and that it's really about identifying that there's 3 aspects of you, not to mention many, many, many more fractal parts, but to keep it simple, keep the journey easy to follow. There's a me, there's a myself, and there's an I. There's the I am, which is the all-knowing, the unity, the collective oneness that is the God spark within you, and that is the higher self that I teach about a lot in TICA, which is Transcendence International Consciousness Academy. And I teach all about how basically anytime you're working with me, it has nothing to do with learning a modality or learning about the spiritual journey. It's about remembering who you are and putting yourself back together and becoming higher self, so that you can be a completely unlimited being that you came here to be, without self-judgment and denial and rejection and, that deep-rooted feeling of loneliness that we carry as soon as we realize that it isn't safe to be who we came to be. And what I want to do in this podcast is, go over those 3 aspects, because again, I know I teach about it in every podcast, but time over equals certainty. And anytime you really have a knowing, that it becomes second nature and it is part of your subconscious. So anything that you don't have to think about, in a conscious state or decide, has become an unconscious, subconscious program or belief system that's running at a cellular vibrational level that you no longer have to monitor. And that's where all the blind spots are hidden. That's where all the blocks are stuck. That's where all the suppression lies. Because it's the things that we have decided at some point and then believed through observation, practice, and awareness that we have put into the automatic range, which means those things are autopiloted now, and they're not really viable in the conscious reality for us to see them and work through them. They're below the surface, but they are extremely powerful in frequency and vibration because there's such a strong belief there. Like if you decided before the age of 7 that it wasn't safe for you to be authentic, that is probably something that you're still demonstrating today. If you didn't feel safe as a child, you're still running those programs. If you felt alone as a child, you're still running those programs. If you were a special kid with extrasensory abilities, you've probably made enemies with your empathetic and disassociated yourself from society almost to a place of, it not being a natural state of safety and freedom for you. And so what I want to do today is kind of jump into an accelerated podcast that I would normally teach in Tika and go into how to navigate and listen and make friends with your subconscious, because your subconscious is running on autopilot, 24 hours a day, even while you're asleep. It's recording and also projecting forward what it is that it believes. And your subconscious is like your big recording bank of information that has been presented to you since inception, which means that the day that you were the day that you were created, once those cells divided and you became a form of consciousness, there was a subconscious program that was running. It's almost like a little tape recorder hit play, and everything around you, including, the DNA that your body was built with, mom's well-being and nature and emotional state of being, dad's conversations and emotional state of being, you are all in resonance with, even as you were developing that little tiny body inside the womb. And all of those programs were beginning to formulate. And as you took consciousness awareness in your first year, you started making decisions how you felt about all of those programs. And it's how you feel about the programs that are running that determine the belief systems that are created in the mind. And then the mind moves it into this is truth or untruth, which means nothing is really true or untrue. It's just what you believe that becomes true. And through observation and awareness, we decide things that are true. We look at circumstances and we say this is true and this is not true. But really, there's so many different aspects of what's going on below the surface that none of it is really true or untrue. It's just, again, something you focused on long enough, it became a belief system. And then you held on to it to the point where you didn't have to think about it anymore and it became automatic. So now that we're having to process all of this trauma and these recordings and these programs and work through our deep-rooted belief systems, the gift I want to give you today is how to bring that part of you to light. The alchemy process is about bringing darkness to light, but there's no darkness in you. There's just absence of light. There's absence of love. There's self-judgment, and all of those things create a void. They create a shadow effect. And once you make the unconscious conscious, it no longer is a shadow. And that's really where our journey is right now. And the energy on the planet is assisting us with our upgrades and the fast-moving frequencies and, the shedding of light. It's causing us to become more aware of who we are. And a lot of us have practiced for many, many years on how to not be focused on who we are, because who we are hasn't been good enough. We haven't felt worthy. We haven't felt safe. We've felt judged. And so we have done everything in our power to cover up the signposts, the circumstances, the synchronicities, the downright conversation that subconscious is constantly having with you. And we have disassociated from those deep-rooted feelings to the point where we have created sub-emotions to cover up those emotions. And then we believe that those sub-emotions are our real feelings. So I hope I'm not losing you, because it really is, I'm taking you down a rabbit hole today. So let's make this really easy, and I want to give you 3 simple ways today that you can have conversations and create enlightenment with your own subconscious mind. Because if you don't know what's in there, then you won't know what to fix. You won't know what needs healing. You won't know what needs your attention. You've practiced probably about 95% of your life how to cover up these feelings that are running on autopilot. You've practiced covering them up. In my Tika class, we've been going deep into pattern repair, using everything from quantum hypnosis to NLP, to restructuring patterns, to repatterning, to every tool in our quantum toolbox that we can possibly utilize to move down deep into the subconscious and actually get to know who that version of us is, and how to recognize when we are covering up a pattern or when we are moving into healing a pattern, because it really is so subtle. Anything that you use as a form of medication to cover up how you feel is you disassociating with some part of your subconscious. And, we're all addicted to something. Sometimes we're addicted to the very drama that keeps us away from looking down deep within the pain. And so we create, other drama around us, so we have something to focus on, so we don't have to think about the deep-rooted drama that's spinning out of control in our root, in our sacral, in our solar plexus, and what's knocking on our heart's door that we're not letting in. So let me give you, in this podcast, 3 easy ways for you to communicate with your subconscious mind. And when I say communicate, I don't mean diagnose. I don't mean you don't be a therapist to your subconscious mind. I want you to just learn how to befriend your subconscious mind and become aware of it and move into understanding of it, because all 3 of those terms that I just used is a dear absence of judgment. If you begin this journey into your subconscious with judgment, you are going to logic that. And anytime you use logic, you are moving out of the heart space into the mind space, and you are moving into a choice whether something is right or wrong. And the last thing that you want to do right now is decide whether something is deep inside of you is right or wrong. Because you have been deciding that and covering it up for a really long time. So the rabbit hole that you go down has to be absence of judgment. Otherwise, it will take you right into the mind, and you will move into the past and worry of the future, and you will forget what you're doing, and you will move out of your concentration of your navigation point, and you will become distracted, because that's been a safety mechanism, is for you to be constantly distracted by the things that need your attention. And the thing that needs your attention right now, more than ever, is your subconscious mind, because we're moving into a path of becoming. And as we move into this path of becoming, we're becoming our higher selves, which means higher self is saying, I need you to pay attention to everything that's in your subconscious mind that's out of alignment with who we are as these unlimited beings of light. And I need you to take responsibility, the ability to respond, and I need you to look at these things that you've agreed to and that you've believed in. And we need you to decide whether or not you want to continue to believe this, or we need to realign you into a higher frequency so that you can move out of that state of being and move into the frequency of higher self. And that's all that's happening right now. And unfortunately, it's creating a huge amount of discomfort, because, again, looking at our fear has been the very thing that created the fear. Looking at the grief and the loss and the guilt and the shame and the humiliation and the suffering that's underneath the fear has been the very thing that created the fear itself. And so we've done everything in our power as even spiritual beings, spiritual bypassing, becoming teachers ourselves to avoid our own journeys. All things I've done in the past, and all things I'm not getting away with in the present moment, to believe it or not. Because, I asked to become the highest, greatest version of myself in this lifetime. And therefore, I have to hold myself accountable to my own intentions. And therefore, there's growing pains involved, and there's things I have to look at, and there's things I have to take responsibility for. And this is not the spiritual bypass journey anymore. This is the dive down deep into the deep shadows of our own abyss and walk through our own self-generated hell to find heaven on the other side. And it's not easy, and that's why I'm creating this podcast, because I'm moment by moment by moment checking in with myself and saying, how are you doing, and how are you feeling, and these moments of anxiety and these moments of panic, as you start to dive down in there and you recognize old wounds and old traumas that you've been covering up your whole life start to crave your attention again, because you're looking at them. You're seeing and hearing them. You're looking at them. You're nurturing them. And these are all aspects of things we generate outside of ourselves when we need to look within. So let's get to it. So the 3 ways that you can befriend, accept, notice, investigate, and understand your subconscious mind is, first and foremost, is go 24 hours and watch your personal behavior, which means that once you stop this podcast, I don't want you to try to change anything about yourself. I don't want you to try to fix anything about yourself. I want you to notice your behavior, because believe it or not, your subconscious mind communicates to you through your behavior, not your words, not your intentions, not your prayers, not any of those things in particular, but the combination of your entirety, your behavior, your actions, the way you're showing up in your life, the way you're following through on those intentions, the way you're following through on those prayers, the way you're following through on your word. Where are you actually moving your body around in your self-generated reality? That will tell you exactly, first and foremost, where your subconscious resides. And I've created a frequency chart that will be in the book, Me, Myself, and I, that's due to be released in July. And obviously my Quantum Life members will receive that first. And this frequency chart allows you to pinpoint where you are vibrating at any given moment, so that you may, in that instant, understand what it is you're attracting. Because believe it or not, your reality that you've created, the people, places, events, circumstances, triggers, momentum, blocks, all of these things are your generated reality based in your belief systems. Your belief systems generates your reality. Therefore, your reality is your greatest guru. It is your greatest guru to understand what you believe underneath the surface. See, conscious mind is always a cheerleader. It's always 10 steps ahead. It's always the dream builder. It's always the Tony Robbins version of you. It's always the Oprah Winfrey. It's always that you can do it, we can do it, we're awesome, we're unlimited, we are the spiritual beings of light, we are these light workers, we're empaths, we're strong, we're loving. And then the subconscious part of you is the combination of your inner child, your traumas, your wounding, your separation, your third dimensional body construct that holds time and space together for you. And that becomes the separation point where you can hide a lot of things from yourself. And it's all stored at a cellular, biological, energetic frequency. So it's stored for you in time and space. And the thing is we try to avoid time and space with conscious awareness of thinking of a positive aspect, or staying in the positive field, or looking at something from a higher perspective, or, seeking out the addiction of instant gratification, of feeling joy over despair, or medicating our depression with a pill. And the more we do that, the more that we separate, and the more we self-abandon, and then the more that we actually are resentful towards others, because we feel resented at a cellular level. And therefore they have to show up and resent us, because they are a creation of our reflection. The universe is governed by law of attraction. So if law of attraction is governed, and which is actually the law of mirrors, then law of reflection is going to reflect back to you anything that you believe based in your own vibrational escrow inside of your own frequency, energetic structure of exactly what you believe about yourself at an undercover level. So how people are treating you on the outside is a reflection of how you're treating yourself on the inside. So the best way for you to get to know your subconscious is to go 24 hours and watch your very behavior. Watch what you say you're going to do, and then watch what you actually do. Watch where your lack of motivation, where your energy fades throughout the day. Watch your energy change around certain types of people and places. See who you are when you look at your bank account. See who you are when you turn on Facebook and you see someone living a life outside of your own creation. Look at someone who's doing worse than you and see how you feel. Look at where you're self-medicating through food or drugs or TV or drama or adrenaline or or anything. Pets. You could be self-medicating through your own pets right now, focusing on their well-being or your children's well-being over your own well-being. So these are all really, really important ways to go 24 hours and watch your own behavior. Watch how you actually show up. See, conscious mind is monitoring what you say. So you talk a great game. You are that spiritual teacher. Everything that comes out of your mouth is very wise. You believe in the law of attraction in a logical perspective, but down in your beliefs, you still wonder if the universe is there to support you and if God really loves you, and if your mom really did screw you up to the point where you can't manifest your own reality. There are fears and worries and failures lodged in there. And until we go down deep in it and become the observer of it, we actually cannot accept it and heal it. So your first conversation with your subconscious mind is to watch your behavior for 24 hours without judgment, which means watch yourself do something and then do your best not to judge it. Because there's the conscious awareness that's watching your thoughts, that's watching your hopes and dreams, that's watching your failures, that's suppressing your pain. And you're using a lot of energy to do that. And when you're using a lot of your energy to suppress your pain and stay positive on the outside, you better believe that your body is in adrenal fatigue and fight or flight, and you're going to be exhausted. Your sleep cycle is going to be turned around. Your body's not going to process minerals the way it needs to. It's not going to digest properly, and therefore your immune system's going to be on slow, which is going to cause you to be easily agitated or allergic to people, places, and things. And you're going to have spontaneous triggers happening all around you, which means basically what you are is a minefield. You're basically a time bomb, because your subconscious is getting heavier and heavier and heavier, because the frequency on the planet is getting lighter and lighter and lighter, and it's going to cause an implosion. And I only know this because it's happened to me. It's happening to me. I'm going through it as I speak about it, tears rolling down my face. It is nothing that I am teaching about that I'm not living in this current moment. And these are some of the ways that I am moving away from meditating and medicating through honoring what's really in there and learning to have conversations with my subconscious. So that's your first way in, is to notice your behavior. Okay? Notice what you turn to try to feel better. Notice when you get triggered, where your mind goes to instantly try to feel the pain. Do you attack? Do you numb? Do you medicate? Do you lie? Do you cheat? Do you hide? Do you isolate? Do you, what do you do in those moments where you don't feel good? Do you want to run away? Do you want to hurt someone? Do you want to hurt yourself? These are all self-medication points to avoid pain, believe it or not, that are all pain that's there to avoid pain. So there's layers. We've actually disassociated our pain with different types of pain. So another way that we can go in and have a conversation with our subconscious mind is to ask very, very specific quantum hypnotic questions. Okay, and when I say quantum hypnosis, what I mean is, when I say quantum, I'm saying all. I always use the intention of quantum anytime that I'm working with myself, because I don't want limitations within myself. I don't want to just talk to conscious or subconscious or unconscious. I want to talk to the subconscious, the unconscious, the Akashic records, the universe, the cosmos, to my lineage, to my bloodline, to my gender that's buried down deep within 7, 8, 9, 10 bloodlines down deep. I want to speak to all women on the timeline. I want to speak to all the masculine energy that's within me. I want to speak to everything within me when I ask these hypnotic questions. And these hypnotic questions are extremely opened without judgment. Because as soon as I put a judgment on a question, like yes or no, wrong or right, am I bad or good, then I am no longer talking to my cosmos within. I'm no longer talking to the universe inside. I'm talking to my logical mind that has to decide whether something has hurt me or has healed me, and I'm going to be very limited with my answer, and I'm not going to get my truth. I'm not going to get my truth. So I need to ask very specific hypnotic questions, and I'm going to give you 2 questions that will really help you understand after you've spent a day watching your behavior. You might be in a little bit of self-judgment with yourself, and that's not going to serve you. So the second day, you can sit with yourself, and I always say pen to paper, because pen, especially blue ink, is the color of your truth chakra, and putting it to paper is allowing the subconscious to flow out of your biochemistry into something third dimensional where it's been stored at the third dimension. See, when you think it and say it, thinking and saying is 4th and 5th and 6th dimension. It's frequency, it's vibration, but pen to paper is very 3rd dimension, and you can actually get a lot of your 3rd dimensional old programming out through pen to paper. So I write this stuff down, and my first question to myself is, which is myself, which is the body, which is the house, the seat that holds both higher self and ego. It's the vehicle you're driving, and you have the opportunity to be moving through your subconscious or your higher self any given moment, who's going to be driving that vehicle based on your point of awareness, your point of acceptance, and your point of responsibility toward your own self-care and love. So the first question is, after you notice your behavior, okay, I want you to start noticing circumstances and events and triggers and people in your life. And I want you to find something that triggers you into a lower vibration, okay, or makes you feel small, or makes you feel limited, or makes you feel like a victim. It could be anything. It could be your spouse. It could be money. It could be your kids. It could be, your body. It could be anything. Pick the thing that's got the most of your attention right now, that's making you feel the most insecure, lost, separated, angry, frustrated, or confused. Find that place within you. And then I want you to write it down. Be honest with yourself. The word belief is being the lie. So when you lie to yourself, you bury it so deeply that until you get honest with your own subconscious mind, you won't be able to uncover root beliefs that are deep within there of the beings. So the first question is, once you actually find the thing that's really got your attention, is you ask yourself, what does this trigger, circumstance, person, event, chronic manifestation, body part, body symptom, what does this represent? That is your word. That's your quantum hypnotic perspective. And you're going to write this down. So let's use cancer. Let's use being broke. Let's being unhappy. What does my unhappiness represent? What does my cancer represent to me? See, and it's got to be to me. So the I in the me, myself, and I is the I am. The myself is the body. It's the house of soul and ego. And the me is my ego. Okay, me, myself, and I. So when I say, what does this cancer, what does this empty bank account, what does this unhappiness, what does this anger represent to me? What you're doing is you're going down deep into your subconscious, and you're having a conversation with yourself that is non-judgmental, which means you're just investigating. You're like a doctor looking for a diagnosis who's not judging the symptom, but trying to put the puzzle pieces together to formulate a conclusion. You are there just to find out what that symbol represents. Okay, what does this represent to me? Like, what does being broke represent? Okay, and then what I want you to do is I want you to do an automatic writing process where pen to paper, you sit, you can use music to bring on emotion. I always use music to help me emotionally move my energy. If I've been practiced being numb or unmotivated or, in resentment for a long time, I will use music to unlock me, and I'll ask that question 100 times. Because again, there's been 100 times where I've avoided that very question and I've medicated with something else. Like, what does this represent? And then I move into, well, how do I make myself feel better? Because I don't want to feel this. Okay. So what does this represent? And then you might find, well, I feel unworthy. I don't feel good enough. I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe in my body. I don't feel like I know my body. I don't feel like I can trust my body. I don't feel like I can trust my spouse. You will start to move into the process. This is your shadow work. This is the process of getting to know what's really underneath your numbness and medications, okay? And as you start to do this automatic writing process, you will start to reveal parts of yourself that you've been hiding for a really long time. And you may not like the answer, but it's very important for you not to stay in judgment, because for the first time, There is a voice within you that is being heard, and you are no longer abandoning those broken, lost, disassociated places. You are answering your call. You are answering your need to be seen and heard and loved and nurtured. You are no longer abandoning yourself, and you're saying, what does this represent? And then you're going to write it down. Okay? And now when you take that representation of, I don't feel worthy, I don't feel safe, your next question in your quantum hypnotic process is, what does this feel like? What does it feel like to be unworthy? What does it feel like to be sick? What does it feel like to not feel loved in my relationship? What does it feel like to not be appreciated by my children? What does it feel like to be broke all the time? What does it feel like to keep letting myself down? What does it feel like to not trust myself? What does it feel like to feel lonely? And as you move into those question and answers, you will begin to get the answers through your automatic writing process. That's very important to third dimensionally do, pen to paper. Okay, you can do it on a computer if you're more comfortable that way. But you should choose a blue font because it'll help activate the color frequencies and bring forth more truth for yourself. And so you're going to now move into the diagnosis and the investigation process of what it actually feels like to feel unworthy. And then you're going to express, and hopefully by this point, you're going to feel that block where you've trapped that emotion. You're going to move into kinesiology, and I want you to, in that moment, as a bonus, is to notice where that feeling resides. The contraction point resides in the body, what chakra system it's being held. It can be in dual or triple chakras. You know, when you move into a place of unworthiness, does your stomach hurt? Does your heart feel small? And does your chest feel contracted? Does your head hurt? Do your shoulders feel heavy? Do your legs ache? Does one side of your body tingle? You know, where are you noticing in your biological computer where you're actually storing this emotion? And all I want you to do for this process is to notice where you've stored the emotion and put one hand over your heart and another hand over the place that feels blocked. And I want you to say to yourself, I hear you. I see you. You're not alone. I understand. And I'm no longer abandoning this part of myself. And as you're saying these words, I want you to just breathe. I want you to just breathe. And I want you to move through with breath, holding yourself the frequency of your own healer that's within your heart chakra, and your other hand moving it into the place of the contracted energy, and allowing yourself to be there with you for the first time and maybe forever. And this is the first step of our pattern work. There's 7 steps altogether that we are going to utilize to clearly move through our patterns and create new patterns of unlimited belief, unlimited ideas, unlimited freedom, unlimited abundance, and unlimited love accessible to you, through you, for you. And this is the first step, and I really wanted to give it away because it's something that I went through this weekend, and I had a really big release and felt much more aligned. Been kind of working with my housemates on this right now, teaching it in Tika. And as the first step we begin to move through, we realize that we no longer have to hide from ourselves. And we no longer have to feel alone with ourselves. We don't have to feel unloved with ourselves. We don't have to feel that we're not good enough. We have to start responding, taking responsibility to who we have come to be. You know, a lot of times our purpose is birthed in our pain. So we are not here to wish our past away. We are here to take responsibility and remember who we are for it. I hope that this helped you guys. This is the first step of our quantum pattern clearing in Tika. If you like what you heard in this podcast, I would love it if you would join our community, and that is just Facebook. You can find me at Jessica Alstrom Quantum Life Community. If you're really ready to put your hands on your journey, you can visit Jessica Alstrom Quantum Life, Tica, Tica, and that is our Higher Self Academy of Becoming Higher Self. I have decided that I want to channel this information and give it away at almost for free. I used to put all of this information in my academy that was for it was $5,000 for the year, and it was very it was very select because I really wanted to choose members that were really willing to do the work. And now I know that my mission is about we're all ready to do the work, and the ones that need this the most don't have that kind of abundance yet lined up for themselves. And so I wanted to make this all affordable so you can be able to access through your patterns and take all of my classes and workshops and hear all of my training videos for just $22 a month at on Facebook. And it's Jessica Alstrom Quantum Life Tica. And I also have a third group, and this third group is Quantum Life Tribe. And that's it's just a house for interaction and support system, because believe it or not, being plugged in and staying supported is going to be how all of our PTSD is actually healed, is through more of a support system. We need to feel safe with each other. We need to be in a place of non-judgment, and we need to be able to process by utilizing each other as our own blind spots to see where we are missing aspects of what we can't see, because that's the gift of reflection. Is there are going to be people that are going to show you sides of yourself that you have denied and disassociated from. And to be in a community of total alignment and higher vibration during this process is going to be the best security blanket you can invest in. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for letting me to be authentic and vulnerable on my journey and sharing with you how I'm doing this and how we're doing this here at Tica and Transcendence and at Quantum Life. And if you guys are looking for more of a certification or a more intense journey, of course, I'm still certifying and looking for teachers to join the A-team so that we can really make this worldwide impact. We're in 14 countries right now internationally, and we are training teachers all over the world to be able to use this quantum hypnotic processing to allow ourselves complete freedom, access, abundance, and absolute joy. Thank you guys for joining me, and I will see you next time.